Yeah, a little bit there. He got to catch a flight.
How's everything in the chat? Can you hear me clearly? In the chat, can you hear clear? Audio's good? Because Kavase, did you move your chair over?
Kavase don't want to be seen today, huh?
Can you see everybody now?
Yeah.
Everybody?
No, wait a minute. Okay, yeah.
Everybody's good? Okay, Victoria, can you give me my phone? Yeah. Thank you, babe. I was debating on whether I was going to share what I got this morning from the Most High, and I got the confirmation that I should share it because D wanted to start the class, but he's going to be a little late, so that lets me know that I'm supposed to share it. So, the Lord had showed me something in a dream, and he spoke to me about something that I'm going to share with you guys. And this is when I was in Las Vegas in the game, and this is when I had caught the case, right? There was a vice officer who was, everybody knows him. His name is called Victor Vigna. He has retired, but he was, when you see a movie, maybe like American Gangster, and he had his nemesis, right? This very aggressive officer who was like dedicated to trying to bring quote unquote criminals to justice, and as passionate as you are in the game, he's just as passionate as a police officer. Or when we seen the movie Untouchables about the gangsters and Elliot Ness, and well, Victor Vigna was like that, right? He was an Elliot Ness. So anyway, the Lord gave me a dream, and he spoke to me in this dream. And I want you to bring your whole mind, because we're going to go a lot of places today just based on this principle. And it is a principle. He said to me, I chose Vigna. Remember, I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent for you. I want you to hear this. I'll get to them in a minute, but bring your whole mind on this. This is real powerful. I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent for you. Let me go get formidable, because I looked it up earlier. Know what it means, but let's get it. Okay. So I'm going to take off these glasses. They not reading glasses. They seeing far glasses. Okay. So, but formidable. Formidable. Here, let me go, because I had a real great definition for it too. Hold on. Now follow me. Hold on. A formidable person is someone strong, powerful, impressive, and highly competent, inspiring both respect and a bit of fear or awe, because they are difficult to overcome or deal with, often excelling in skills, intellect, or determination, and capable of handling big challenges. Now, Remnant, this is extremely important for you to get and you out there. Because a person who can't see, a person who does not understand how things work, would simply see a man who was a vice officer trying to make sure a guy who was in the streets hustling is brought to justice. That's the normal thing that you would see. But what you would not see is there is a hierarchy in life. And the Most High wanted me to know it. He purposely wanted me to understand there is a hierarchy in your life. Everyone else would only see a police officer trying to bring a criminal to justice. But I want you to understand something, Andre. I want you to understand I chose Vigna. I chose Vigna. Don't even get to thinking about that you're doing this and he's doing this and he's trying to. No, I chose Vigna because he's a formidable opponent for you. In other words, there's some things through this situation that I'm going to bring out of you. And I'm choosing, and life is not, and circumstances is not. I'm choosing something specific for you, and it ain't got nothing to do with them. And I need you to understand that. I need you to understand I'm in control, and I will create the condition by which I want you to conquer. And how I know that to be true, because remember the vision I had of Yahushua. And he had on cowboy boots with spurs. And in the vision, he said to me, 2 kings will rise up against you. And the spurs represented a situation that would spur me to the next level. And the 2 kings was the condition. The same condition in which he said, I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent for you. What am I saying? I'm saying this. And I wrote this morning when I was in prayer with the Most High. Listen to it. Listen to me, because I'm about to take you somewhere. This is what I wrote today, this morning, after prayer. I refuse to submit to the fact that life is stronger than its creator. Listen very closely to that. I refuse to submit to the fact that life is stronger than its creator. I'm going to break it down. I said, and my life has been committed and sacrificed to go against that idea. That is the ultimate extent of my life. That is the ultimate extent of my life, that I refuse to believe that life is stronger than its creator. Why would I say that? Where are you going with this, Andre? Well, I'm going to tell you where I'm going with it. Life, as long as we've known it through history, have done exactly what life wanted to do. And people have often said, when life does what life wants to do, that's just life. Life has spitting up people you love. Life has killed babies. Life has done anything that life has wanted to do. Think about it from what I'm trying to explain to you. Life has been unchallenged. Life has been something that has been unchallenged to the point that you just accept what life dishes out to you, because that's just life. In other words, there's nothing that no one could do about it, and no one even thinks that they could do anything about it, because that's just life. But what did I say? I said, I refuse the fact that life is trying to make me believe that it's stronger than its creator, which is God. So because of that, I don't know what your nemesis is. I've had several along the way. Some people's nemesis is their family. Some people's nemesis is somebody from their community growing up. Some maybe be the police. I don't know what your nemesis is. But I'm telling you, all those nemesis are too small for me. Because my nemesis is life. I said, I refuse to allow the fact that life is stronger than its creator. And I said, my life, the intent, the essence of my life, for the rest of my life, me and life got a problem. Life will not determine anything to me. How do I know it? Because my God said, I chose Vigna. It ain't had nothing to do with life. I chose Vigna because he is a formidable opponent for you. Life had nothing to do with his choosing. Which lets me know that life had to submit no matter what it said. Life had to submit. I bet there's nobody ever that have told you their nemesis is life. And that's what I'm telling you. Life will not get away from me. Life will not set the terms for me. I will not accept what life says to me, because what the Most High did from a young age when he said, through Yahushua, 2 kings will rise up against you. And then he came later and said, I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent for you. What was going on? What was he trying to make me understand? What was he trying to make me see? What was he trying to make me understand and see that no one would ever understand or see until he reveals it? That in your life, it is not what life says to you, it is what I say to you. It is what I say to you. And life has no bearing, and that's what I want you to know. I want you to know that life has no bearings. Watch this. Watch. I was talking to Naya about it earlier because I was deciding whether I was going to talk to you guys. Right? And she and I were discovering things, sharing things. And I was like, I want you to understand about the remnant man and woman, because we touched on the clip that I put up today about the buck and the bed winch. Okay? And I said that when you think about what I'm explaining to you today, and you understand that when God brings us back to our culture, right, that I said, just think about the average buck trying to talk to a remnant woman. The bed wench is a person that only has been taught that she, and I'm going somewhere, I'm gonna come back, that she is validated through her servitude to the slave master. Her value is how good she is sexually. That's the extent of it. And the buck, the same. Right? But the remnant woman has the advantage of starting out in her life with the understanding, and the remnant man starts out in his life with the understanding, think about this, that something that has conquered every man and woman, every condition, every situation throughout history has been life, and they're able to start out knowing that life is not the determining factor in their life. I want you to understand how freed up you become. I want you to understand if you have the ability to do what people don't even think about. Listen, I'm going to take you somewhere. You see, when God brings us back to the culture, right, he begins to fill us up with the consciousness that he runs everything. Listen, this is important, that he runs everything. There's nobody else that have that consciousness. Everyone else have to go along with life. Right? He specifically wants you to be in rebellion to anything outside of him. What do you mean? He wants you to actually have a disposition against it. I was talking to Tori a minute ago, and we were sharing about expectation. And I said, there's a difference between position and disposition. Someone can have a position and not a disposition. Disposition is most important. What is your disposition? Who are you? Who are you underneath the fire? See, he wants to create in us disposition. Not just the fact that you know that he's in control and not life, but he wants you to have a disposition against the thought that life is trying to sell you, me, that it's in control. He wants you to have a disposition. It's not good enough just to accept or just for you to think, well, God is in control. That's not good enough. I said disposition is different from position. A man could look powerful with a position and not have the disposition when the fire comes. Disposition is most important. So I'm trying to show you the consciousness in which he wants us to maneuver in and how completely different it is from the rest of the world. No one thinks like I'm telling you that's supposed to be natural to us. No one thinks like this. Like what, Dre? That life itself is an enemy to me. There is nothing that has made man think that way. Man does not dare even to think or suggest that they can do anything about life. No one talks like that, but God is demanding it from us, which is why he was teaching me from a young age, right? Listen, I chose Vigna so that I wouldn't look at life. I wouldn't look at the system. I wouldn't look at what I was doing. I wouldn't look at what they was doing. I was looking at what he was doing. And he wanted to let me know everything must submit to me. Don't be out there going along with life. What did I tell you? And I want you to have a disposition, not just knowing. I want you to have a disposition against life trying to bully you, against life trying to make you believe that you got to submit to it like everybody else. It's not good enough just for you to say God is in control. No, the evidence that you believe that he's in control is the disposition that you have. Yes. So when everybody was talking about Vigna done got Dre, I was the one that knew, oh no, he's just a formidable opponent. They was already in what life has taught them. Vigna got Dre. He was arrested. He was this. No, you guys don't understand that God told me that two kings will rise up against me. You don't understand that he said, I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent for you. There's some things through this situation that will spur you. I'm going to use life. Life is not going to use you. I'm going to use life. Life is not going to use you. And you're never supposed to be moved by what everybody in the world is moved by. That's just life. No, it's not. I said, let me go read it again. Don't get it right. Listen, because I'm reading disposition when I'm reading this. Because I came up out of prayer with disposition. I I refuse. Look at my first words. I refuse. First words. I refuse. What do you refuse, Dre? To submit to a fact that life is stronger than its creator. You think I'm going to just say, life, you're stronger than God when God created you? And my life has been committed and sacrificed to go against that idea. That is the ultimate extent of my life. I'm saying more important than both them wives, more important than every children that I got, more important than anybody in the world. The extent of my life is to let life know you're not greater than its creator. Everybody else is playing little games. They think it's crazy for a person to think and even reason the way we're talking about today. What do you mean, bruh? Life is your enemy? Anything that's not submitted up underneath my God is my enemy. And if life falling at him too, he must submit. Do you understand this position? So when life comes up and circumstances and situations happen, come here, Naya, for a minute. I know we're pregnant, but just give me for a minute. If life and circumstances happen, baby, what did we learn? I got you. Just for a minute, because I know you won't be standing up that long.
Yep. So a little bit about what we talked about earlier. When life and situations come about, it's knowing that it's just like you were saying, that the Most High is control and what he allows, right? So we don't go through situations. It's like when the world just look at it, it's like we were saying, like, oh, it's just life. Oh, that's just how life is. Life is life and whatever. And you just stay in that space because you're just looking at life, right? But what we have, having the relief doctrine, having that clarity of why situations is happening the way it is, looking at the Most High, right? And that is what keep us going to not, it's like I was saying earlier when we were talking, it's like looking at the Most High, right? Being in that space of knowing what's going on. Okay, you allowed this situation, you allowed these challenges, this obstacle that I'm going through, constantly pressing forward because I know no matter how hard it is, how hard it feels, how hard it looks, is something that's in it that you want me to conquer and that I will conquer, and keep pressing forward through that, right? And it's like when we constantly look at the Most High, we're not looking at life itself like the world do, because we don't take on the hardness of what life creates, what it does to people, situations, and we don't accept that.
Listen to what she said, right? Listen to how she said that. Because we're not looking at life, right? She said, we're not taking on the results when you're looking at life.
Right.
How it impacts you, how it makes you feel. Did you hear what she said? Go ahead, baby.
Right. So, like I was saying earlier, and I was, the Holy Ghost even giving that to me for myself as well. It's like when we're looking at the Most High, we don't take on what life feels like. What we felt in the indoctrination, because we know what's going. All of us going through that, we know what it feels like and all of that, right? But it's like the moment we take our eyes off the Most High in that knowing, it's like we reduce ourselves right back to life, right? We go from looking above to, yep. So we go from looking up hither above to now our mind and our thoughts is at surface level. Now we're looking right back at life, right back in those situations, feeling the hardness of life, the same way we felt in the indoctrination, and we put ourselves right back in that situation. And it's worse when we know, when we have the information, when we have that relief doctrine, that clarity of why, knowing what's going on, right? And just knowing how our God operates and how he moves, you know. So that's the blessing that, you know, that's the blessing of what we have. So yeah, and looking at that for myself. Yeah. Oh, and another thing. Oh.
Go ahead.
So, and with that, it was like, with everything that we know, right, given the authority and everything, it was like, what the Holy Ghost was giving me is that, you know, what I feel is so powerful in having the confidence, knowing that we, the remnant, is the closest that the world would ever get to God, with him being in us, right? Yeah. Like, whew, to know that we are the closest that people would ever get to God. Unless it's like people, they could be as close as they think they could be to the information, but if you do not have the information, if you don't have the Most High, you don't have that, right? And that's just yeah, right. So just think about that. Like, I'm the closest you will ever get to God. And people be thinking that they have him. People be thinking that they praying and all type of stuff, but they don't have that living God that we have.
All
you know, so all praises to that.
All praise.
Yeah.
Good job, she said that, what is he trying to give us the disposition for? Listen, this is powerful, because he's saying, I'm trying to make life in its results unpenetratable to you.
That's right.
I'm trying to make what everyone else accepts as it's just life. I'm trying to give you the disposition and the power to not be affected by what affects everybody else, because they think that's just the way things are. But like Naya said, but you know what it is, right? So now, you knowing what it is should give you a disposition of knowing. If you think it's just life, Naya said, you will be affected by everything that life affects everybody else. You the same thing. So it brings you back down. She said you will have the feeling that you have, whether it's disappointment, whether it's sadness, whether it was whatever it was. But God wanted me to know through the Holy Ghost that I chose Vigna. Now look at how I'm looking at the situation now. When Vigna is there and he comes, and everybody could think that it is anything, but I know what it is. Right? So look at the disposition. God chose Vigna. So now I'm looking at the situation different from just, I'm in jail. I got caught. Come on, man. Come on. That has no bearings on me. Everybody is wondering why you ain't tripping. You facing life. No, you don't understand. He chose Vigna. I'm looking at something different than you. You can't see what I could see. You looking at life. You looking at circumstances. I'm looking at God submitting life, saying, don't worry about that. Just keep your mind off of that. I chose him. Go to war, conquer, and I'm going to bring something up out of you. I chose him because he was formidable. I needed to create a situation by which I bring your best out of you. So I'm choosing your opponents. Woo! Glory to God. Hey, man. Look. What opponent has he chosen for you? What opponent has he chosen for you? You didn't look at it like that. You just thought you was in a situation. You just thought life was lifing. Come on, man. What opponent did he choose for you? Whew. Glory to God. And when you look at it from the perspective of this remnant, he's an opponent that God chose because it was formidable for you. It ain't got nothing to do with life. Do you see the power and the authority of the knowing? of the knowing. Because I was talking to Nia and I brought Dove in. I said, Dove, do you remember when God told me about Vigna? She said, which one? Was it you saw him coming way before he surveillanced you? I said, no, not that one. She said, oh, yeah. I chose Vigna because he was something upon formidable. And Dove said, she walked in the room. She turned back around. She said, that was for me. Why was that for you, Dove?
It was for me.
Come. Can you come? Okay. Well, you got to be ready in season, out of season. Well, what you talking about?
Naya got you because we said we was gonna interrupt y'all's meeting.
Well,
Interrupting our stuff.
let's go.
I said that because when I never looked at what the Most High specifically told you for me, verbatim.
Mhm.
Like I chose Vigna because he was a formidable opponent. So it made me look at all my past, present, and upcoming future situations as the formidable opponent, because if he told me that because I took that, I felt like you brought me in there because he wanted to tell me that.
Yes.
And I was like, it made me look at now, it made me look at the past and what happened in the past. There were formidable opponents that moved me. If they weren't formidable, they wouldn't move you. They wouldn't have the potential to move you. A lot of people in the world have a tendency to try to choose their opponents per their strength and their weakness. But the Most High said, okay, this is going to be formidable because I have to give you a challenge. Because if it's not a challenge, it's not going to bring out the greatness in you, right? So when I told you that and I took that, it just automatically took me to another level. It was like it spurred me to another greatness of mindset of looking at disposition of every single situation and circumstance that I'm placed in, that this person in this situation or this thing is formidable for a reason. And when you came back in there, I said for us to conquer it. Because if they're not formidable, then it's not even a question of conquering. And then it doesn't bring out what's necessary that needs to be brought out in you to conquer. If we're looking at elite and we're looking at formidable opponents in our future, and we're looking at takeover and repossession, how are we going to do that? If we're looking at everybody trying to choose a weak situation instead of something formidable, or in our mind, what we think is greater. So when we possess the relief doctrine, we automatically come in knowing who we are. So at what I was thinking about was just how we think and how we look at situations. We really don't understand what the Most High has given us, because if we did, the word formidable wouldn't even be a question, right? And he's trying to get us to another level of understanding of the relief doctrine and formidable. That's how I saw it. If you know that the information I've given you is greater than anything, because I am greater, and this information that I've given you is greater because it literally conquers all things, then formidable would be like a person looking at a weak thing and that person thinks they're strong, right? It wouldn't even be a question. It's like how you operate. It's not even a question when you're in a room of somebody being formidable. When you looked at Vigna, you didn't look at him as formidable, but the Most High knows how the indoctrinated looks at the system. They don't even look at him as formidable. They have lost. They don't even look at themselves in the same arena as the system. So coming in today, I was like, wow. To be able to conquer the formidable, you have to know what you have within the relief doctrine. Because if you don't know what you have, knowing the system, they know they're formidable. They know they inspire fear, right? They know they do that. And we know that we possess that same thing. It's just that they don't know what it is. Theirs has been named. You could look them up. Formidable, conquerors, you know, all these different labels that the system have, you know, and then we come in with the relief doctrine and they're trying to figure out what is this thing that they possess? This thing that they possess, because he wanted us to know what they consider themselves, what everybody looks at them as, and what you have that conquers this awe-inspiring fear that our formidable opponent has, right? And what you have, and how we look at it, like the indoctrinated do, that is, they're weak compared to what we know we have. It's not even a thought that we can conquer that and what they possess. So that's how I saw it today. I was like, that's inspiring to me, and it made me look at situations and circumstances a lot different because of what we know we should possess as remnant.
Well, and then knowing that God put it together.
And he did.
That gives you a whole different perspective on the situation.
Most definitely.
It's not something that just came upon me. It is not because they're stronger than me. It is not any of those things. It is simply because my God said, oh, this is what we're
right. Right. And if he made a situation present, like we always say, we come to conquer. Whether they look at them, whether they look and the world looks at them as formidable, let's go. Period.
Oh. Men, take off. Chris?
Yeah, we do, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, man. Hold on, man. Yeah, let me.
No. Chris already know that I gotta get this off.
Yeah, but you was late, bro. You was late, fam.
What's that?
It's late, man.
All praises to the Most High. I want to bounce off of what Dre was saying as far as being in rebellion against life, to show up for your God, show up for the Most High. And I had something else, but I'm going to just go off of that.
Put it on the outside drawer and rub up against your sweater.
You know.
Yeah. There you go. Appreciate that.
So it's being in rebellion against life. And I'll just show you how I am operating in rebellion against life to show the Most High I'm bigger than that. I can't be conquered. So I was given an opportunity to go through assaulting. I signed up for the Remnant, right? As soon as I signed up, I get the news that a 22-year case I was facing is dropped. I'm like, okay, this information is going to move me. This information is here to bring the best out of me, bring the man, to show myself a man. The more and more I get into this information, the more and more I'm being drawn towards it. I need to get closer as possible to the Most High as I can. And I know he sent this vessel, and this vessel has this message. So how can I get there? All right, I'm on probation, right? I got to check in every month. I'm on a state restriction. You can't go nowhere. You got to keep a job. A whole bunch of things that in life I was not used to. I was used to doing whatever I wanted, getting my most money throughout the streets and not having to calculate my hours to make sure this and this, taxes, Social Security, healthcare, and all of that being taken out. I need all my money up front. But the Most High was trying to tell me, like, hey, we got a different program for you. We got to unlearn those things. And you gotta be able to show up to be that man. And on top of that, so the first Wednesday was created, and I'm sitting there with my job, and I'm getting closer to a bigger title. They promising me that I'll be able to run the bank and this and that, but that position wasn't big enough, or that work wasn't great enough than being able to work out here with the Remnant. So I gave that up. I got a dog that I love to death. I had to give that up. I had a sweet position with a house. I had to give that up. I had, different type of ladies that was just, when you in that world, it just comes easy for you. I gave that up too, all to do this work and to come closer to the Most High. And I saw that as not me losing anything in the world, but me gaining, because the advantage of the Remnant is that you don't have to wait. So I didn't have to wait for me to get that clearance to be able to go here. And then I also saw it in 3 different ways, like mind, body, and soul, that disposition. I had to get that weight off as far as WEIGHT. My most heaviest, I'm 270. I just seen the picture of me with a tomahawk. I'm holding a tomahawk in the left hand by the bone, a pack of steaks, some chicken, a slab of salmon, and a rack of lamb chops in there. And you could just see the disposition of like worldly, this and this, all of that, just gluttony. So that weight is coming off because the more you get into that word, the more you know how they fast. They fast not just for the healthy reason, but to get closer to the Most High. That's just the benefit that weight gonna come off. You look around the brothers, they switched up their diet. The diet is a disposition of being around, being healthy, whatever you have control of to put into your mouth and speak out of your mouth shows discipline. So if I could show myself discipline from eating certain types of things or just overly engaging in this and that, then I could show myself discipline for the Most High. Dre also mentioned that your opponent will be chosen. My opponent was a state. They chose that for me. And I just said it wasn't high enough. I need to get to this information that's going to propel me a lot further than what this worldly possession would be. I also thought about like how you can be chosen but not selected. So Moses was chosen, but he wasn't selected to go above. He was buried on earth. Only the Most High knows where he was buried. Later on, he came back in the spirit, but because of his disobedience, he wasn't chosen in the first half of his life. So with me knowing that, I have to make sure that every day that I'm being obedient and submitted under this word, under this position that I need to do, and just, do my thing, chop wood, drink water. That's not just a saying, that's an active act. Chopping that wood, drinking that water, being disciplined and being strict with yourself so you don't fall out of bounds. And even if you do fall, you got to correct that. Be sorry to yourself. Sorry is not just a word that you just throw out. You just have to hold that weight that it will never happen again. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
What's up? Yeah. So this was actually perfect that Unc came up here and spoke about this. What a formidable opponent is. I have had at some point in my life many formidable opponents. One of them was my father. And he taught me some great things, right? Taught me some things that allowed me to survive and get ahead and do more than the average person can do in the streets, for example, and even in just life. He was on top of me about my grades. I always had a high GPA. Dealing with him, I excelled at pretty much everything, sports, anything that you can think of that I put my hands to. My father was there. But there were some other things intertwined in there that I couldn't see until the presence of the information in my life, right? There was emotionalism there, right? Through anger, right? One of those things being anger issues. I actually talked to my uncle not too long ago about this, and that thing whooped me for a long time, as I know it does many black men, many people in general, but especially black males, to the point that it was embarrassing. I've had many embarrassing moments dealing with anger in my life, more than I can count, more than I even care to look back and think on, right? The average person that sees me today or even throughout my life wouldn't really know this unless they had some kind of conflict with me, right? I couldn't see it for a long time. My uncle gave me a book to read I don't know, probably 20 years ago, maybe more. Siddhartha, right, by Herman Hesse. And in that book, Siddhartha had to take a stand against his dad. And to paraphrase it, because I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, was that until he had found something that he believed in that his father didn't believe in, and he took a stand there, he would not yet become his own man. When you hear that and you read that, and you do have a dad or a man that's present in your life, you know, the world would think that, without this information, would think that, what do I need to take a stand against my dad for? Right? What is it that I need to do? And then they would start searching for something. In my case, I didn't have to search for anything, right? It was already there. And it was whooping me left and right. And let's say that the things that got me to where I was at up until the point of my uncle pouring this information into my life so heavily and consistently, the Most High knew exactly what needed to happen, because a situation happened with one of my other uncles where he was kidnapped and tortured for like 3 days and eventually murdered, right? I quit going to school with only short time left to graduation. I didn't care. Teachers would call me, blowing me up. I think I needed like 2 credits left. I could have did it in my sleep. Just didn't have any desire to listen to anything. My dad was gone in left field, dealing with his issue with the situation. This is the first time that my dad wasn't there to be on top of me in school, right? My dad eventually ended up getting locked up. He was facing a lot of time. He got away with 5 years, cost him a lot. But what the Most High did, as my father went in, my uncle came out. And it was almost simultaneously. And I was in Texas. I was actually in Texas visiting with my biological father. I stayed with him for the first time ever in my life. My dad, called my dad, came into my life at about 2 years old and raised me from there on. And my biological father was around, but I had never really lived with him before like that. And so I was down there visiting. I had a situation where I was about to leave Texas, and he, told me to, come stay with him so we could spend some time together. And it ended up being a major blessing in my life, and I couldn't see it at the time. But we worked out a lot of issues, should I say, that probably never would have got worked out if I'd have left. And we still talk to this day from time to time. But ultimately, what happened was my partner Tay, he's in class, called me one day, and he was coming to Houston. And when we got there, he was like, "Man, let's go see Dre." And I'm like, "Dre? Like, Dre who?" He's like, "Dre. Gorgeous Dre." And I said, "Man, I've been down here for a whole year, right? Why didn't you tell me that he was here? I've been in Houston. Dre was living in Houston. And, we just kind of laughed it off. Needless to say, we pulled up on Dre and Dub at the gym. And it was a wrap after that. That whole next year was spent basically at my uncle's house, right? My aunt would cook. Me and him would talk 13, 14, 15 hours a day some days. He's the only person that ever even came close. And he actually beat me a couple of times at fight night, round 3. And I'm not really big on games, but, on that one right there, you can get it. So as he's pouring all this into me, right, continuously for pretty much a whole year, it's starting to bring things to the surface, right? It's like I got a whole year of preparation to go out there and conquer with, right? a consistent preparation. And I had to use the information from time to time, but every single day, early in the afternoon, morning, I was at my uncle and aunt's house. I didn't leave till 2, 3, 4 in the morning, right? So some years go by, my dad gets out. When he gets out, he initially is saying, oh, he had talked to my uncle and was like, I appreciate you for looking out for my boy while I'm locked up and stuff like that. And, it was no big deal, but there was a disposition in my dad, right? There was a disposition to him about the relationship between me and my uncle. And that disposition grew so much that it became a normal surface level thing, to the point that it ended up with a lot of disrespect from my father to me, right? And the world will tell you, no matter what your parents do, it's okay. They're your parents. Accept it, move on, right? The scripture says, thou shalt honor thy mother and thy father, and thy days be long. Really has nothing to do with your parents. That's you. It's not going to give any longer days, right? No more added days onto your life. But it's about how your days play out, right, as you live them. It is also followed by, thou shalt not provoke thy child with anger, all right? And let's just say that in my adult years, my dad did things that definitely provoked me with anger, right? But because of the information, it didn't allow me to disrespect him, right? And when I say that there was a high level of disrespect, I mean, it was enough, for it to have the worst kind of problems with anybody else. And it hurt. It genuinely hurt, right? And I don't really talk about this. I don't think I've ever talked about this. I've never talked about this on camera before, right? I've brushed on it. I've talked to loved ones about it. But because of that book, right? Because of that Sid Hartha book, it gave me what I needed to get past how I felt about my father through my love for him, right? And take a stand for something that he just couldn't see. He didn't believe in. He couldn't see what my Uncle Dre had given me in my life, right? What he had opened up my life to, and what the Most High had blossomed into what it is today. He couldn't see it. Still can't see it. I talked to one of my other uncles not too long ago, my dad's older brother, and he told me that my dad says that I'm lying. There's no way I'm not in the streets anymore, and I got too many responsibilities, and it's just crazy. And I'm blowing smoke up, at my older uncle, and I got too many bills and too much this and too much that for me to leave the streets alone. It let me know that when it comes to the Most High calling you to do something, and my dad talking about God growing up and stuff like that, but never like my uncle did. It never opened up my life like what my uncle gave me, like what this information did. He gave me some phenomenal things. It just wasn't like this. So when he took that position against me, even though we hadn't been talking, that he refused to believe that I had stepped away from what some would call a checkered past. And just because the Most High said, right, I cannot bless you to go to the next level until you come out the mud, he couldn't fathom that. And that let me know how closed-minded my dad is. I still love him. I still love him dearly. That has nothing to do with it. But I'm far past doing what the world says that we must do, right? Look past anything that your parents do to you just because they're your parents. In other words, it's like they get a free ticket to do and say whatever, right? I can't agree with that. I just can't take that. I do not accept, right? I don't accept that. I'll never disrespect my father, right? Come very close. I disrespected my mother, something I had to get past because of those same emotions, that same anger that I picked up going throughout life, right? Something I will never do again. Something that I apologize for, right? 1,000,000 times over. Without this information, I would still be out there in the world. During last week, when the women were speaking, I had walked over to my uncle towards the end of the women's class and gave him a hug. And I told him that I appreciate him because for the weeks prior to that, I had been thinking to myself, Uncle, all these years we've been talking, how come we haven't spoken about God in this capacity, right? It was almost like for a minute there, the enemy was trying to make me feel like he had withheld something from me up until the remnant came. That was abolished, that was obliterated, because before that class had taken place, I was able to look back across my life and think about all the times I had been out there, especially in the streets, and people would say to me, why you always got to bring God into it? Why you always got to bring God into every situation, man? God this, God that, the information this, the information that. Me and my uncle would laugh, and because people would feel like we informationing them to death, right? Because there's been nothing higher than this right here. When I tell you about adversaries I've had in my life, there's no way in the world I ought to conquer these things, that anger, that attitude. And a lot of people have anger issues, but when I tell you mine were through the roof, yeah, I can tell you I was a hard man to be with for different reasons other than just me standing on principle, right? I can genuinely say that I owe a lot of women in my life apologies. You know, my kid's mother and you know, my exes and things like that because of my attitude, right? I've always done right by anybody I've ever dealt with, but that doesn't negate any traumas that were caused by my bad attitude, right? It doesn't get swept under the rug just because I ultimately did right by you. I'm thankful to the Most High that He's kept me covered because of me eventually standing up in the good outweighing the bad in the disposition I've taken in my life and dealing with people, right? I'm thankful for that covering, but I wouldn't even know that covering existed without this information, right? I was reading earlier, and I've been planning on talking about this, but this came to me earlier in Deuteronomy 18. And let me find it real quick. Deuteronomy 18:15. It says, the Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me, Moses, from among you, from your countrymen, your brothers, your brethren. You shall listen to him. This is according to all that you asked of the Lord your God at Horeb, Mount Sinai, on the day of the assembly, saying, let me not hear the voice of the Lord my God again, nor see this great fire anymore, so that I will not die. He knew that it wasn't just a light thing for him to be able to gaze upon the Most High, you know, the presence of the Most High, and him to walk away with his life intact, right? He knew that we would be here at this point in time in our life. He knew all of the things that we would have to go through and what we would need later on. He didn't know who it would be, right? And this kind of ties over into something else. I'm glad that my aunt came up here and spoke and said this, because I was kind of tracking what she said as she got up here. And the Most High has brought an opponent to me recently, right? Not a formidable opponent, but definitely an opponent. And because of what my aunt was just saying, I don't see this opponent as being formidable, right? Very, very disrespectful. And the old me with the anger would have responded or reacted, should I say, completely different than how I do now, right? How I am now. This opponent has talked mess, called me out my name. Kind of reminds me of some situations with my father, right? And regardless of all that, I still stand to show up to be who the Most High requires me to be, because I know that there's nothing in my life that can come and conquer me. And if a situation has taken place, it's only because he allowed it. It's only because he allowed it. But I know this because of the information. A lot of y'all get whooped on a daily basis, and you will for the rest of your life. You'll die like that. You're going to go down getting a lifelong whooping, because anytime something comes up that puts you in a place of discomfort, even if it's something good for you, your indoctrination will cause you to push it away and reach back and hold on to and cling to the very thing that's whooping you. It's almost like a Stockholm syndrome, right? With the world, with the enemy, with what life keeps producing for you. I remember talking to my uncle about me having to take that stand with my dad. And it wasn't an easy thing to do, because like I said, when I tell you that my father has done some great things, more than most people's dads, you know, he's literally in real time saved my life. Okay. A lot of people don't even get to have that kind of experience with their father, where he has to physically save their life, not from no drugs or anything, but literally from from guns and violence, and you know, in real time a situation was taking place. And so to have him be there in that capacity, right, and so many others, and watching him do the things and showing up in people's lives, and for some reason in our family, he just always ended up in a situation where he was having to save somebody's life. He did. And that would make any young boy, any young man look at his father like a hero. In a lot of ways, he is my hero, right? I love him to death. It's unfortunate, though, that when it came to our relationship, he didn't stick the landing, right? And that really had nothing to do with me. That was something that was with him. That very thing that was with him, that thing resided in me. And so when I tell you that I'm grateful for the information, I'm grateful for what the Most High allowed to take place in my life, I'm grateful for the strength that I get and the stronghold that I get in being pleasing to the Most High and him finding joy in me. It's beyond what any normal Christian would say to you about God saving their life. You know, Christianity saved my life. You know, why? How did it save your life? What did it do? What did it do for you? What did a religion do for you to save your life, right? What did the religion do for you? A religion that didn't even exist until after the man that they named it after was killed, after he was murdered by the people that created the religion. See, I know what my God did for me. I know the fortitude that he gave me in my life. I will say to you that I wasn't even completely convicted in overcoming my anger issues until I had to take a stand that basically severed the relationship between me and my father. It wasn't until then that I was able to see clearly enough to really fight against that emotionalism, because it is an emotion. I don't care how tough you are. I don't care what your name represents in the streets. I don't care how many fights you've won, how many people you've hurt, you know, how big the gang is that you run, how many people fear you. All of that is based on a high level of emotionalism and you reacting to situations, right? Most of the time you're reacting because you feel like somebody's disrespected you. I know I did. And I didn't feel embarrassed by that for a long time because I thought there was power there. I did. I didn't realize how weak it was. It took me a long time to come to that. It took me realizing that the Most High will bring you someone in your life that is more like blood than your own blood, that is more like a father than your own father or a brother than your own brother, you know, and then him actually doing it, right? You realizing that he will do that and him actually doing it and you being able to pull from that is two different things. There's nothing in the world. I've gone to bat for my dad against my entire family, man. When all of them had something to say. Oh, you act just like your dad. The only time that my family didn't have a problem with me is when they felt like I wasn't acting like my dad. I've gone to bat for him for years just to have to turn around and go battle against him, all right? And a problem that he's having with me, that we having with each other. And that sucks when you go to bat for someone like that and you turn around, there's constant disrespect, right? It's almost like a feeling of hopelessness, right? Because why would you have to battle against someone that you love, right? Someone that has gone to war for you, right? Because of how the Most High allows things to unfold in our life, right? Because of this information that I'm able to look through the lenses of, I'm able to look back and see, right? I'm able to look and see the things that I had to fight to overcome, right? I'm able to look back and see that love can only go so far. It can only carry you so far. There has to be a foundation of principles there, a foundation of continued manhood and womanhood and honor and loyalty and respect, right? You have to be willing to operate in a level of integrity that doesn't matter whether anybody's looking or they're not, for you to do the right thing, right? Love alone isn't enough to keep a relationship intact. I don't care who that relationship is with. I don't care who that person is to you, a significant other, a wife, girlfriend, a mother, a father, a child. It's just not enough, right? Just like you saying you love God isn't enough for you to actually show up in the capacity he requires us to, right? Kavase said, what is love to God? Right? There's got to be a high reverence for what he sends down and out into your life, for you to place everything else on the back burner, right, for him. No excuses. Doesn't matter how you feel. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Doesn't matter what you have to deal with. Doesn't matter what you come up against. He places it all in your life to give you opportunity to conquer and show up in that love that you profess to have for him, right? But if you don't respect what he's saying, if you don't respect what he's sending or who he's sending, the love itself just will never be enough. These men, we all love the Most High. We're all appreciative of the things he's done in our lives, and it reflects in everyone's disposition. But more so, the level of respect that each one of us has, the respect that I have for each one of these gentlemen here, and how the Most High has brought each one of them into my life, right? For everyone in the remnant. Doesn't mean that other people aren't going to come and try you, right? Just because he gives you this doesn't mean that he's still not going to allow the world to come show up and test you. He wants to see a continual disposition in you. And you have to fight for that. But if you don't have the tools, if you don't have the weaponry, how do you know how to fight? What do you have to combat these things that the world says that you should keep yielding to? My uncle said just a couple of classes ago, and he said it many times, don't go out there and try to take a stand against this system because you will get whooped. He's not lying. He's not. If you don't find yourself in a place where you value the thing that the Most High has brought into your life, that has made a change in your life that was never made at any other point in your life up until the point that that information was brought, you could find yourself in a position getting whooped left and right still, even with the information. It's like the person who has heard the word and they hear it and they forget it is like the man who looks in the mirror and walks away and immediately forget what he looks like. This thing has to be continuously applied in our life. And if you can't see value in something, right, if you can't see what the Most High is doing for you, if you don't have that respect for him, right, how can you use it to go to war? Kavase always says that we're going to war, right? It's a spiritual warfare. I know a lot of people out there, I've talked to some of them, and Kavase speaks, the mighty Kavase. They're like, why is he always talking about war? You know, what's war this and war that? You know, why is he so angry? And he's not. That man got so much love in his heart, it's not even funny. But he's just not playing about warring against the enemy in his life. And he's taken that position, and he's taken it beautifully because he believes, loves, and respects what the Most High has brought into his life. Not because of any one of us, but because that's something that he chose in his life. That's a stand that he chose to take. Every single person that's here chose to take that position with God and me individually. Every single one, every woman that you see up here speaking, every man that gets up here to talk, even in spite, right? Chris is going to come up here next, and he took a position for his God, right? And I know it was a hard position for him to take, but he took it because I know how much he loves his son. I know how much he loves his son. And he had to take a stand to come out here on faith. What kind of stand are you willing to take for your God? Right? Are you going to sit out there in the world and say, well, God wouldn't tell me to do that. God wouldn't tell me to leave my kids. God wouldn't tell me to leave my woman. God wouldn't tell me to take a stand against my parents. There's no way in the world that God would tell me to do that. God don't operate like that. Well, you must not know God. You must not know God if you don't believe that he will require you to take a position against the entire world and everyone in it just to show him that you ain't playing about him. This is a recent opponent that I've had has tried to slander, talk big mess, very much so disrespectful. And it's just like water beating off a duck's back, right? Because my value rests with the information that the Most High has given me in my life and how it requires me to show up. Because it's something that I place in a high value in my life. It covers every area of my life. It's not compartmentalized into one area. The information here and everything else over here, here, and here. And I can deal with this however I want to. It spans across my entire life. Because I chose to put it in that place. I chose to say, this is the information, and this is something I must continuously live up to. I used to get mad, and I heard my uncle speak about this in one of the classes. I used to get upset when I would share this information with somebody, especially a woman that was in my life, and it was like they would take it for granted, right? I've talked to my uncle about this. I've even talked to my aunt about this. I would get upset because I feel like it's a slap in the face because it's so important to me. Don't tell me that you love me and that you're down for me and that you're here all the way into the end and all of that, because a lot of times your end is not my end. And then turn around and disregard the information I'm giving to you that has changed every aspect of my life, right? I used to take that personal. And through that, the anger would show up, right? And the good that I would want to do, I couldn't even do. My attitude would show up and embarrass the heck out of me in the moment, right? And that same attitude that I picked up from my father. I love him to death, gave me phenomenal things. That was not one of them. That has been a long, long battle for me. A lot of moments in there that thing conquered me in my life. And I stay making sure that I'm up on top of that to this day, because I will not allow the anger to have a victory over me. I just won't do it. I'd rather die. I'd rather die before I allow anything that the world has produced, because I'm not even mad at my father for it, because he just didn't know any better, because he too was also born and raised into the indoctrination, right? It just makes me that much more thankful in my life that even though I was raised in the indoctrination, the Most High reached into my life at a young age, right? And started sowing things into my life for them to sprout to be what they are today. There's a lot of people out there that have anger issues. A lot of them don't even know why. They're finding something to blame it on. And a lot of time they don't realize it's just the trauma that's passed down. Even if they haven't physically endured any trauma, it's still generational trauma that gets passed down. This is something that most black men, because we've been taught to not be vulnerable and not share these aspects of our life because it makes you look weak, right? I was actually just told by an opponent that me wanting to be like my uncle makes me look like a weak B Negro, right? You know, Appreciate you, loved one. If I didn't have this information, that could have created something inside of me. That could have made me feel some type of way. If I wasn't resolved in who I am as a man, and this information has been poured into me, and how it's been poured into me, and resolved in who my uncle is to me in my life, and the love that he brings and the respect that he brings, there's been all kinds of situations that have taken place in my life that could have made me take a position against the information, really against the Most High in my life, not even realizing it. And you know, it says for a person who's had faith and put it away will cause ship to wreck. Oh, this ship could have been obliterated many a times. But I have still and continue to stand in the position of believing and operating in this thing that the Most High has brought into my life, because it has continued to work wonders, especially in times of adversity, right? And not just then, because I've had very successful moments in my life, and I'm thankful because even in my success, the first thing I would do is get down and holler at the Most High. Because I know, without a doubt, that the enemy can creep in right there too, even in your good times, especially in your good times, when you're distracted with the world, the money, cars, jewelry, women, houses, whatever, right? I don't really subscribe to Roman theology or whatever you want to call it. But there was a ruler, his name was Marcus Aurelius, and he hired a man to follow him around. And we don't need this in the remnant, but I understood why he did it, right? We don't need this because our natural disposition is God and me. And this information is to check and correct yourself. But when you're out there in the world, you might need something like Marcus Aurelius needed. He hired this man to follow him around every day. And every day this man would whisper in his ear when he would get up to give a speech, or he would be speaking in front of a group of people. And this man had one job, and his job was to remind Marcus Aurelius that you're only a man. Because the people in this empire would always praise him like he was a god. And in his mind, he knew that he would get out of bounds if he ever fed into that, right? But here, in the remnant, in this information, we find power and authority in our humility before our God, in our brokenness, in knowing that it's never us, it's always him. Because if it was me, I wouldn't be here right now. If it was me, I wouldn't be here. I'd have been done a long time ago. You know, if I hadn't taken a stand in my life like Siddhartha had to do against his father. And here's the crazy part. Siddhartha's father wanted him to be a leader. He wanted him to be a prince, right? He wanted him to be a man of power and authority. It's not like he wanted some small things for his son. And his son, Siddhartha, was very sharp, right? It's not like he couldn't achieve these things, but Siddhartha took a stand, right, to follow a spiritual path in his life, because all the things that the world was offering him through his father just weren't that important to him. They just weren't that important. He just didn't value them like he valued his journey to finding himself. And the Most High placed things in my life, along my journey, along my path, for me to find myself, for me to have my own identity within this information. Some of you have some information and you still don't have any identity, because the information that you possess is giving you the identity that the world wants you to have. You don't have your own identity. You have what they gave you. You still carry what they give us when they first enslaved us here. They gave us slave names. You still carry that slave identity deep within you, not having anything to grasp onto, to hold on to make that drastic change in your life so that you can know who you are from deep within. And I understand. I get it, right? My nephew told me one time, we was talking and my uncle had kind of put my business out there about things I was dealing with, right? Financial situations I was dealing with. And I don't really talk about that stuff either. And when he put it out there, my nephew was saying to me later on that he was like, it just doesn't seem like you're going through anything like that. It doesn't seem like you have like financial challenges, right? He's like, I believe you do, because I know that you wouldn't lie and that Dre wouldn't lie about this, but it just doesn't look that way. And I told him, thank you. I told my nephew I appreciated him because he was confirming in me, for me, he was confirming for me that the only true evidence of faith is a good attitude, regardless of what you're going through. See, that anger issue could have trumped that if I didn't get on top of it by applying this information and walking and knowing who my God is, and knowing and being attached to the disobedience of our ancestors and what it invoked for the last 400 years that our people have had to endure. I had to take a stand in my life of refusal to not create those problems for my future generations to come. Some of you just out there in the world creating disaster for your entire lineage, and you don't even know it because you don't know who you are. You don't know that you are a Hebrew Israelite. You don't know that you could potentially be God's special chosen vessels in the world. That 1/3 that he said will make it, while the other 2/3 die off. Just because you recognize you are an Israelite, just because you know who your people are, just because you can open up the Bible and get this information from these classes and, realize that we are God's people, right? Just because it doesn't make you his special chosen people. That is a disposition that you take in your life, and you fight against everything that the world has poured into you. I never in a million years thought I'd be in Seattle, Washington. Me and my uncle used to laugh about this all the time. Neither one of us ever would have thought that we'd be here like this. But when the Most High tells you to do something, you find yourself doing something that you never thought you'd do, and you find yourself doing it with joy. I couldn't even begin to tell you the amount of trouble I've gotten in these streets right here. I know my loved one, Joe, knows what I'm talking about. Right? Unexplainable. And not just here, all over the country. I grew up everywhere. I've lived in Alaska and Georgia and Texas and Arizona and Cali and all over the place, right? Oregon. And, just being in them streets, being in that indoctrination, having that same attitude that served me well in some areas, but created so much conflict in my life wherever I would go, right? It felt powerful because I would go anywhere and be able to do whatever I wanted to do with the information that my dad gave me, right? But at the same time, I took a position in my life that made me not care if I hurt anyone in the process, right? I know a lot of guys in the streets, especially in the lifestyle, say that the lifestyle saved their life. It changed their life. Stopped them from gang banging, stopped them from doing all kinds of stuff. Well, the lifestyle saved my life for a completely different reason, because how I came into the world with my mother and father being in the lifestyle, and how my uncle came into the world like that as well, it allowed me to have a deep connection with my uncle. And when he would share with me how he felt about the lifestyle, it hit antennas inside of me that I didn't even know I had, right? It hit certain heartstrings, pulled on certain heartstrings that I didn't even know existed, right? Because they were overshadowed by anger. They were overshadowed by the world. How I used to look at women when I was younger, and it happened at like, when I was young, really young, 12, 13, I thought I was, fly, man. I had leopard Casanova, man. I had the leopard blankets and the satin sheets and all that at like 12, 13 years old. I had the little subwoofer under my bed, so the music was playing. The bed would vibrate a little bit and stuff, man. And I was just, I thought I was him as a kid, right? 13, right? And those things were poured into me to value, right? I was like, I'm gonna be smoother than most of them that raised me, right? Than most of them, right? That's what I thought in my mind. I thought I was gonna be the smoothest out of all of them, right? But somewhere along the line in there, the world had a stronghold on me, especially when my uncle got killed. The attitude that was in me, the emotionalism that was in me, it took over every area of my life. You really couldn't tell me nothing. Couldn't no woman tell me nothing. I don't care how much love she was showing up with. I don't care how much money she was showing up with. I don't care what any dude was showing up with. I just wasn't trying to hear none of it, man. I wasn't. A lot of people talk about all of the things they did in the streets and how tough they were and all that stuff. And looking back, man, that stuff was embarrassing. Anybody watching this that knew me from my youth, let me just tell you that I apologize right now for how I was then. And I hope that you can see what the Most High has done in my life and where it has brought me to, right? And I hope you can see and grasp onto that for yourself. It's not an easy road. Everyone thinks, once you're saved, once you know God, it's a wrap from there. And that's just not true. Once you know him, once you truly know him, then you can begin to go to war. Then you can begin to fight off those old dispositions that you had in your life. Then you can begin to conquer instead of being conquered via your anger and emotions and feelings. Because it's not a pretty thing. It's not. I hope for any man that's watching that might be dealing with some of the same issues that you can overcome. I pray that you can overcome and strive in this, because it's not just about you, but it does begin with you. There are so many women in our community that need the men to overcome these issues and stand up and lead to give them hope in their life, because right now everyone is hopeless, because you've been given some hope by Christianity, by systems, by all of this, but it's a false hope, right? We don't really have hope over here because we have knowing. We know our God, right? We don't need hope. We're beyond believing. I know when my God is showing up in my life because it comes with receipts. It comes with evidence, right? Our people require signs. Our people require signs and wonders. And he's definitely produced that for me. And I'm thankful for him every day. I'm thankful for him for teaching me to have this level of love in my life, right? This level of respect. One of my loved ones, and I won't get into it, said something to me yesterday that man, it almost had me in tears. I didn't even want to think about it, But even in spite of what he said to me, I let him know that if that was the case, man, as much as that would suck, you know, I'm still after my God. I'm still chasing him down, right? Relentlessly every day, unceasingly, you know. I cleaved on to that. And I'm thankful that I was able to cleave on to that while I was in the streets. Because, partner, wouldn't be no D. Tell you that right now. So, what is it, Unc? Whatever your what is, you said earlier? Your formidable opponent, whatever your formidable opponent is, right? Formidable, whatever your formidable opponent is, if I can get the word out. Whatever that is, understand that when you step up to the plate and you operate in this very thing that's being delivered through these classes on a pretty much daily basis, right? That thing becomes like nothing to you. It says when a man's ways are pleasing to God, he will make his enemies be his footstool. That means everything that takes a position against you will be conquered and see the bottom of the soles of your feet. Everything. There's nothing out there that you could ever come into contact with that you can't conquer. And once you conquer it, it's yours, you own it. It's a wrap. So I had to stand up and conquer something that I never thought I'd have to, and that was my father. He's watching this, probably talking mess right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm probably all kinds of suckers right now. Right? Oh, ain't no shut up. But none of that matters because it's me and my God. Right? It's me and my God. And so as you operate or you get this information and you step into that operating with it in your life, it doesn't have to be something that takes you 2, 3, 5, 10, 15 years to get. It doesn't. All it takes, right? And I don't want to say all like it's just a simple thing, because this is a task that you must step up to the plate to conquer, right? This is not something they just say, all you got to do is believe, right? It's not just that simple. But once you flip that light switch on and you make that choice, everything changes. Because you're making a choice to step up and be the best today that you'll ever be for the rest of your eternity. And that choice is yours. This information gives that back to you, right? It gives you what you need to not just sit there and accept everything that life has thrown at you. We come to fight. We come to go to war. Every single day we get up out the bed, and we don't live together. He wakes up and puts on his armor. He wakes up and puts on his armor, right? They all wake up and put on their armor, right? And go to war out the gate. Out the gate. It's not even something that we got to get ready for, right? It's just there. We stay ready 24/7, 365, all the way through eternity, right? So as much as all of us get up here and talk, as much as I talked over the years, if I seem uncomfortable, I am. You know, I don't really share personal experiences like this with the world. But the testimony isn't for me. It's for whoever needs it out there. And I have a responsibility to our people out there, right? The Most High has commissioned us to gather, right, our loved ones that we don't even know who they are yet, right? So I hope that somebody can take something from this and find solace in taking a stand for what's important in your life instead of constantly bending over to appease somebody else. I don't care who that person is to you. Again, mother, father, child, you know, grandparents, whoever, right? I've had to deal with all of it. Your sister, your brother, you know. I hope that somebody can reach in here and grab that God in me, that God in you, right? Because it's yours. You just got to step up and take it. Thank you.
What's up, family? I'm kind of thinking and pondering on what I was gonna speak about, and the Holy Ghost dropped this video. Let me see your scars. Let me see your scars. If you haven't subscribed to the classes, I highly recommend. Steadfast highly recommends going to watch that class. That class did something to me. That's right. And scars. Unc said, I think it was towards the end. He said, what was it? Hold on. He said that Yahweh Shah in the end said, and then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. So we're gonna get a little personal today. Let's see. Tell me if you can see this. Can you see this right here? This circle, this little circle. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. It's one right there. It's one right here. I think it's like one right here, something like that. It's a cigarette burn. My babysitter when I was like probably 6 years old. That's just a physical scar though. And he had me look up the definition. Man, hold on. Let me go get that real quick before I just jump. The definition of a scar is a mark left on something following damage of some kind. That's just a physical scar. In the spirit though, it's a lot different. It's more like a disposition. And I can remember as a kid just crying, saying, I don't want to go back over there, whoopie, blah, blah. This isn't about I just got to give you the scar and then the story. It's not about what happened. I'm not trying to say I had a bad childhood. I had a wonderful childhood. Your son, and to my mama, if you watching this, your son know that you did the best you could do. You know what I'm saying? Speaking of her though, my mother's funny, man. She be cracking me up, man. Shout out to my T. Jones, man. She ever since I've been in the information, she kind of be calling me every once in a while, and she be wanting to kind of like swap information or something. Like she really be trying to information jack me. You know what I'm saying? But I love moms. Moms is very informative on the word, but it's some things that she be like lacking in. You know what I'm saying? She's deceived in a couple of areas, and I love you, moms. To say the shot at you. But that's the only person that be calling me talking about some information. She said one day, what did she say? She said, I think it was a miscommunication. I said, you see, people think believing in God don't cost you nothing. And she said, yeah. And she was explaining to me how she was talking to my older brother. And she was telling him, yeah, that's what I tell Tony all the time. Just believe it don't cost you nothing. That's a deception. It's a deception. And the reason why is, let me see, man. Let me go get this thing, man. This is Matthew 10:34. This is Yahweh Shai talking to the disciples. He said, do not think that I have come to bring peace on the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be the members of his own household. He who loves the father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. I said, man, do you know how much persecution and how much criticism and ridicule that I took from y'all by making my jump? I didn't do. And you know what, Bob's did. You had a couple of jabs in there too, but for the most part, Bob's was cool. It was everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's just like Uncle was saying, life was trying to dictate to me what the terms was gonna be, and it was kind of subtle at first. It was, hey, you can't do that, hey, sir, you can't do that. Hey, man, you can't do that, man. And you got to stand, man. You got to be able to stand. You got to be able to stand against those tests, man. You know, first he used certain family members, and then at the end he used my biggest brother, the one that I cherished, the one I looked up to the most. You know what I'm saying? I love to death, but still ride and die for him. You know what I'm saying? But he used him. He was the last one. I was like, man, I understand how you feel, bro. I don't expect you to understand how I feel, though. You know what I'm saying? This is something that can't get with. You can't get with this one. But Chris got to stand, man. You know, and what's that? What's that saying? You got to crawl before you walk. It's another deception, man. You know? You got to stand before you can walk, man. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? You got to stand first. That's a deception, man. You can't just skip to the running and all of that, the walking. Yeah, you got to stand, man. And if you're gonna be amongst us, you're gonna have to stand. You got to stand, man. You got to stand your test, man. And that's all I got, man. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, man. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. And it is a disposition of, if you're gonna walk with me or next to me, you got to stand. You got to be able to stand. That's the disposition. That's the scar. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay though, because the Most High gave me a dream when I got down here, and I was standing in the doorway, and it was a white man. I don't know why he was white. I knew it was the enemy though. He kept trying to hand me some meat, and I knew it was human meat. So I knew it was the indoctrination. I knew it was carnality. And I'm telling whoever I'm with, I know it's my family member. I don't know who it is. I'm like, nah, man, we don't want none of that, man. You know what I'm saying? We good on that. And he just keep insisting. I said, man, just take it, man. And then when we leave, so we don't offend the dude. You know, I don't have to touch him or something. You know what I'm saying? We just take it. We'll toss it when we leave. So we leave. And the dream was basically, I led my family to the promised land. Dodge this, dodge that. Even my pops. But you got to want it though. You got to stand, man. I can't, like my brother Greatness say, I'll pull your arm, but I ain't gonna twist it. And that's all I got, man. All praise to the Most High, man. Got one fool in there.
Good evening, family. A few things. Excuse my tone. My voice is a little raspy. Coming out of a 3-day dry fast, experiencing a lot of emotions, feelings, as well as my brother steadfast over there. So forgive me for my mellowness and trying to speak to you guys. A few things that was said. D mentioned his relationship with his father. I didn't grow up with mine, right? So at the age of 14, it's my first time meeting my dad. And it was delightful. I picked him up, gave him a big hug. And when I saw him, he had a bunch of scars on his face, right? Like he had just been beat up or something, maybe somebody tried to kill him, right? Later on, I found out what happened. So the minute I met him, kept that relationship, right? Even as a young man, stayed in contact with him. And a few years went by, we lost contact. And at the age of like 19, we got back in contact. At this time, I'm in the streets doing my thing. And he pulled up to what we call a trap, right? And I was expecting him to either tell me to get out of the streets or give me, some kind of valuable information. And what he said to me was, if you're going to be selling drugs, make sure you have your own product, make sure you don't work for nobody else. So at the time, I was in a trap, but I had somebody over me giving me product to distribute. I get the money, I give it to him, I take my cut. And I didn't really understand his view on that, but I later realized he was one of the biggest drug dealers in Miami back in the 80s, right? Jamaican posse, all kind of stuff. And his position that I found out was he appeared to be the big guy, but he would take product, give it to somebody else. They would do what they did with it, and it'll end up getting messed up. And now he was labeled as doing bad business, right? And with me being in the street, seeing this kind of stuff, even him telling me, don't work for nobody, get your own product, just didn't sit right. Like nothing he told me sat right. And as I got older, I took a stance towards him. And his disposition was always, oh, I took care of you, I raised you, I changed your Pampers. I was finna say fool. We can't call nobody fools. But we talking about ancient history, right? So I grew up with stepfathers. Me and my mom dated. They treated me good, showed me somewhat of how to be a man. Making sure I got to school, making sure I ate breakfast, things that a young child needs. And I got to a certain point in life where streets is what I knew, and that's what I would learn from. And maybe around the age of 27, 28, my relationship with my dad got cool, it was close. I go pick him up, take him out, take him shopping, buy him food. And he was like, you know what, son? When I was in the streets, I always had 2 guns. You should carry 2 guns. All right. And at this point, I'm a correction officer, man. I'm in politics, dealing with the corporate world. Streets is in my past. And before I could acknowledge what he said, I already had 2 guns on me. Right. Part of me being a correction officer, I was still a gangster too, doing some things I had no business doing, right? And the relationship wasn't like I would expect it. I expected my father to give me some game, give me some knowledge, tell me how to be respectful, tell me how to treat women, how to be a stand-up person. And I realized that my father was none of those things. All kind of baby mamas, several children. I got 3 brothers, 4 sisters, right? Rolling Stone. And I understood part of his life where he would be on ships back and forth to Jamaica and back and forth to the States, kind of putting himself in sacrificial situations to see his kids and stuff like that. But too much time was spent away for me to want to hear what he had to say. All right. And I got to a point where I'm a man now, Dad. Can't really tell me nothing. I've learned how to navigate through life. I've learned how to deal with people. Learn how to do good business, right? I know how to protect myself. I won't get into certain things, but like I said, I kept 2 guns, vests, steel mask, like really ready, prepared for any type of opponent, war, anything that could phase me. I was in a position to deal with it, right? And my father comes from that lifestyle. And my mom would always say, I prayed that you wouldn't grow up to be like your father. And I almost went down that road, but it was because he failed at being a gangster. My term in that lifestyle didn't last too long because he didn't give me the information that would help me in a sense, right? Treat people good, do good business. Like if this is the choice you're gonna take, like Dre told us one time that if his daughter, I shared this, you shared it. If his daughter was to get in the game, he would tell her, this is what you do. You don't go to this place with a pimp, put the condom on yourself. Like he gave her like non-negotiables if these are the decisions that she was gonna make. And once I got to the point where I've experienced life, traveled, did drugs, smoked, drink, a part of me didn't really respect him or need him. I respected him because he was my father, but the necessity to hear anything he had to say at this point was none, right? And it led me to want to find other information in the world and other men, older guys, and I ended up getting on YouTube, found the manosphere, found Red Pill, found Alpha Male, all this good stuff. And I was coming out of a relationship where I got my heart broke. In reality, I broke my own heart, right? Because of lack of understanding, lack of manhood, lack of accountability, lack of integrity, lack of correcting the situation when it happened and allowing things to linger on. Now this woman is looking at me different, right? And I learned to respect the game, because when the woman is scorned, there's no telling how she's going to react to you. There's no telling what she's going to do. She might try to kill you, whatever. And I had to process that. And when I got into the manosphere, it made me angry because I was learning that sometimes women just do dumb stuff, or this is just how women are, or women cheat. Women may find that a man has more money than you, or this guy is more successful, or he has a nicer car, right? And it bothered me because that part of the information just didn't register, because I had money. I'm handsome, always had a nice car, always dressed good, always had certain things in order, but the internal me was always lacking, right? And I got to a point where the manosphere had a cap, and there was nothing else I could learn from it, right? Get money, know how to dress, credit. Once you get the money, you get the girl. If you got good game, you can persuade a woman to give you money, all this kind of foolishness. And it just never sat right. Even though this kind of information worked, there was too much manipulation in that. I just didn't feel comfortable operating like this when I met certain women. And this whole alpha male thing, being aggressive, being this type of macho type of guy, it just didn't fit my aura. It didn't fit my demeanor. And once I came upon the information, the relief doctrine, it immediately changed me. It allowed me to know how out of pocket I was with myself, the way I treated women, and just the way I looked at life. And my process was pretty smooth getting the relief doctrine. I have a spiritual background, so a lot of the things Dre was talking about was easy for me to grasp. A lot of the stuff, I had no clue what was going on. And I stuck with it because I said, if I could deal with what's going on in the manosphere, I can accept what Dre is teaching, right? And what got to me was how he could duplicate brilliance, how he could duplicate his stature and manhood. And I saw the way he treated Miss Dove with respect, with love. He admired her. That's right. They laughed, but he was strict, right? And I was like, you don't, comparing Dre to the manosphere, you don't see no receipts with these guys. You don't see these guys out nowhere. You don't see them dating no women. All they do is sit behind a race car chair and talk to the screen, right? And like, man, that's what they do. And yeah, man, I was like, this. I can't believe I spent 2 years in this, man. Like, I learned a lot, but it was just no comparison to what I was getting from Dre. And at that point, I believe I communicated with about 3 or 4 women, called them, apologized to them for my lack of manhood, however I treated them in the process. And it relieved so much pressure and trauma from what I thought was a broken heart. And it was just my lack of everything being a man, right? Something else I wanted to mention. So as I'm processing the information, Atlanta conference comes up and I'm like, I ain't missing this one. I miss Vegas. I'm gonna be there. I get to Atlanta. Mind you, my father lives in Atlanta. He's still living there now. So I get there, we hang out, we hit the streets, we go to the mall, food, all this kind of stuff. And it's about 10:30. Finally get to the hotel, and I'm like, I'm beat, I'm tired, got a headache, gonna go to sleep. As soon as I walk in, I see a group of guys, and they going nuts. Like, they laughing, they screaming, like, it's just nonsense. And I'm like, ooh, that's Dre. I can't go to bed, man. I gotta go see what's going on. So I put my bags down, come back, introduce myself, give Dre a hug the fellas that are there. There's a few people that are not here that was in Atlanta. Shout out to them. So as the conference goes on, I meet Kvassier. Shout out Kvassier, right? And we was just laughing about this at our Thanksgiving. And the way we met, at the time I was drinking, at the time, of course, he was getting loaded. And right, it was weird, like more like fascinating, because even in the outside world, you can meet somebody, don't know them from a can of paint, and y'all just click, right? And y'all become best of friends. So Kvassier was like, look, man, I need to get something to drink. What's up? I'm like, all right, cool, we can do that. So as I'm maneuvering around trying to get my bag, Kvassier already left. He's in the walkway, the entrance of the hotel. So when I get my bag, we make eye contact, and he's like, come on, man. Like, he need his fix, right? So we take off, we get in the Range Rover, we call. This is real stuff, right? This is true stuff, right? Y'all know I'm transparent. I'm crazy too. So we get in the range, we hit the streets, we go to like 2 or 3 liquor stores. It's Sunday, stuff is closed early, and we're in, I think, Total Wine, and the people just like, we can see people just moving weird, man. We like, bro, you see that? Like, and, there was this gay dude at the restaurant. I don't know if Kavase remember this, but the gay dude was like, we don't sell liquor in here like that. y'all gotta go somewhere else. So we like, man, what you mean? Y'all don't sell. So whatever. We go to another liquor store. Right, we try to get what we need, right? We hanging out. So we go into this spot, and we like, yeah, money kind of tight. Let's go have. So we get some Gentleman Jack. We pull up right away, right? Drinking and driving, and I don't know if it was coming from the liquor store or on our way to the airport. Kavase was like, "You good?" I was like, "Bro, I'm sauced up right now, right?" Like, he was concerned, right, that we drinking and driving, right, and he wanted to know if I had the will. I had the will. So I say all that to say this.
It was the way he said it. I asked him if he was good.
Yeah.
He said, sauce.
Right, yeah.
This was a regular thing.
Yeah.
It was like, man,
Yeah.
bruh, sit back.
I got it, right? So so
I'm crying, man.
that's my man, right? I love him to death. But just the way we met one another, a lot of times people that I've met in the world, we've connected, bonded right away, and we just grew apart. Because I had different things going on. This person had different things going on. And Kavase reminded me of a dream I had. And in the dream, everybody in the Remnant was there, all the men. Kavase was standing next to me. And in the dream, we're sober. Everybody around us drinking, smoking. They got guns, women over here, fly cars over there, old schools. Like, we in the middle of chaos. And Kavase was telling me, he was like, the transition of us coming out, of us both being alcoholics, you can say, me smoking weed, doing all kind of other stuff, Percocets, ecstasy, never know cocaine, that's too expensive for me, but I've done a lot of other things, man, right? So just being honest, but the transition of the dream, we were sober. We weren't sober yet, but the Most High was showing us, these are the people you're going to be talking to, right? There are people still in the streets that are living this lifestyle, gang banging, drugs, smoking weed, being treacherous, treating women wrong. But you guys in the Remnant are able to present yourselves to the men, and they can see, oh, these guys did this, this is what they come from, we can do it too. So there was a comfortability in the dream that was shared with the people still in the indoctrination. And what I said to Boss was, yeah, man, but in reality, we still indoctrinated, bro. Like, we still drinking, I'm smoking, but just the way the Most High showed that dream to me to let me know in the future, this is what could be going on, or this will be going on. I am, I don't know, 16 months clean now from drinking alcohol. Right? I'll probably let you share. Boss has got some time under his belt as well. But just the way we met one another, you know, the way we hung out, get our little booze, and then to still be in each other's presence, share the love, share the transparency, and then be able to laugh, look back at this situation and laugh at this. it's a beautiful thing, right? And my position coming out of the manosphere into the relief doctrine showed me what it is to be a man. Showed me what it is, like Steadfast said, just to stand in what you've been given to operate in. And me, let me see how can I put this. My success in being pleasing to the Most High is bigger than the failure that overtakes most people. There's a lot of times we have made mistakes. Some of us are still making mistakes. Some of us have failed. But to be a failure is to have stayed down and not gotten back up from that situation. So what you see here is individuals that have made mistakes, but we standing, right? We standing in our manhood, and it is paramount to be pleasing to our God. But just to let you guys know what love really is: transparency, safety, right? The sensitivity that we have towards one another. We got together Sunday over the weekend. Everybody pulled up with their vehicles. Man, we changing brakes. Man, we changing alternators, serpentine belts. You know, we mechanics. We do everything in the Remnant, man. You know what I'm saying? Right? Yes, sir. Right? So it's just a beautiful display of how the Most High put this together for me. And then being able to confide in my brothers and get information from them, get information from Dre when it's needed, like a father talks to his son. And the Most High allowing all this to happen, right? He allowed me to go through the manosphere. He allowed me to go through things with my father. And I love my dad. I still talk to him to this day. He didn't really teach me nothing, right? And that's nothing against him because he had his own plight in life. But as we had a class a few, I don't know, last week or a couple of weeks ago in the Remnant, we have all the answers. Thank you.
No, just the mic. Okay. I was having a conversation with my lady a few days ago after class, and you know, the Holy Ghost had gave me something, and it wasn't pertaining to her, but it can pertain to someone that is aware of this information, right? And what the Holy Ghost gave me was, I can't help you because you playing. And one of the things that I teach when I'm giving information, like I teach her, is that you have to lean on the Holy Ghost when you get the information. You have to. It's imperative to your consciousness. It's the greatest. It's to your greatest benefit, right? When you lean into the Holy Spirit, or Holy Ghost, however you want to say it. And so that was a few days ago, and today I came upon a scripture, and I'm gonna read the AMPC version of it. It is Proverbs 3, verse 5. It says, lean on, trust in, and be confident in the Most High with all your heart and mind, and do not rely on your own insight or understanding, right? Lean into the Holy Spirit. You know what I'm saying? Verse 6 says, in all your ways, know, recognize, and acknowledge him, and he will direct and make straight and plain your paths, right? So you got to lean into the Holy Ghost, right? Because when we in the world, because when you are operating in the world, you don't know that he's there, right? It's the
the indoctrination is always in your face 24/7. Is so many things going on in the world. It's like the timing of things happening, right? And it's just like something new to put in your face. Whether it's sports going on, whether it's always something that the indoctrination is keeping in your face to keep you away from focusing on the Holy Ghost, right? And so, even with that conversation that was being had, something else came to me too. It's like my flesh is to be a slave to me, right? Because I'm spirit. I'm really spirit. People don't know that they're spirit. You're really spirit, right? So the scripture says, I knew you before I formed you in the womb, right? So you got to think. Now hold on. You weren't always flesh. You know what I'm saying? You was always spirit. You were spirit first because you got to be created within that womb and released into the world with your flesh, right? Okay, so listen. So check this out. Even the enemy is spirit too, but he doesn't want you to know that you're spirit. That's why he hitting you with all the stuff in the world, the indoctrination, why he never wanted you to know that you're spirit. So it is a reason why your mouth is your most prized possession, because you're speaking from the spirit. And when I'm speaking out into the world, I'm using my flesh to speak out my spirit. So everything else within my flesh is irrelevant to the spirit, because I'm just using this mouth. That's why it's so imperative of what comes out of your mouth and what you are professing to the world. Because when I'm saying something, we know in the information that your life got to match your words and your words got to match your life, right? So if I'm spirit, what I'm professing out to the world, I'm making my flesh do what it's supposed to do because I'm spirit. I'm in control of it. So the enemy, that's something that the enemy doesn't want you to know. He doesn't want you to know that you are spirit originally and you come into the world. So, okay, with that being said, right, when we are born, we don't know. We grow up into the world. We don't know that we are from spirit. We don't know that because, like right now in the dispensation that we are in currently, everybody that is alive isn't aware. They aren't aware because they were inside of the curse, right? Everybody that's alive right now. So we don't know that the Most High knew that he formed, that we don't know that we were formed. The Most High knew us before he formed us in the womb because of everything that we're growing up with. So the enemy keeps that away from you. But that's what I want to share right there. That was it. That's it, man. That's it.
No, you go.
I don't know what y'all got going on, man. Come on, man. Excuse me? Why not? Right here?
You gave it to him.
Help my brother out, man. Matter of fact, this is a good place. This is a good spot right here. If you want, use a square. Use a square, right? Sorry, guys. Do you want to take our time? Use a square, man. Square business, man. Square business. Let me get one. Let me get one. Come on.
People are like, what is going on here?
Okay. All right, guys. This is going to be some never before seen, never before heard deep down inside, let go, stored away. So listen
Get
up.
into it.
I'm only gonna say it one time. All right. This is completely new. You hear me? New for me speaking on it. I ain't never told nobody this. Ever. It's new for me. You hear me? Okay, what you talk about? You hear me? Ooh, already. Let's get it. And some of these things are still the opposition. What is it? Formidable opponent. There we go. The formidable op. You hear me? Formidable opposition, right? And it has to do with anger, trust, love. The same thing that I battle every day here today, right? But it goes way back. This is crazy. This is crazy. The very first memory I got of my mother was her taking me to my great grandma's house, dropping me off and leaving. That's the only one that I have. The first one, well, not the only one, but that's the very first one I got of her, right? And after that, I haven't seen her for some years, but her doing that caused some other things to happen. So she dropped me off. I'm with my grandma for a little while, but she died. My great grandma dies in 2001. You know, my great grandma was from the South, and I'm saying she had 17 kids, and all those kids had kids, and my mother was that second generation of that. But during that process of kids having kids and me being born, it was a lot of drug abuse happening in my family. So this was the 90s, the crack epidemic, and that not necessarily took out, but it stole a lot of souls. You understand? And but just taking that, moving forward. So my great grandma dies in 2001 or 2000, and I have 5 siblings, and it's either everybody splits up or we all go to one place. So that's what the guardians at the time were going through, and they made a choice to keep us together. So they flew all of my siblings to Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland, and to stay with my aunt. So my aunt, she didn't have any kids. She worked for the government. And from the looks of it coming in, she was cool, right? So we were behind in school. So she had us hooked on phonics every day. I'm talking about day in, day out. It was annoying, right? But so a year into that process, I remember this vividly. I remember me and my brothers, we were in bunk beds. And I remember her walking into the room, and she just goes, "That's not okay, guys." We're chilling, we're doing our thing, and we all just look at each other. And then she walks away. Like, okay. So then after that, we laugh it off. The next day goes, we're sitting down in the living room, and she's in the kitchen cooking, and she screams it. "That's not okay, guys." And we're like, what the heck is going on? Right. So, like I said before, I don't have any proof that she was on drugs, but knowing where we come from and how this all is going to unfold forward, she had to be. So her thing was that me and my brothers were wiping urine all over the house. So that was a thing that she concocted and something that she lived on every day. So when she gets a little more into it, this is what the day looks like. So we'll wake up like at 3 a.m. and she gets us in the bathroom and we're brushing our teeth for hours, just continuously just brushing our teeth. And so
one of us is brushing our teeth, another one is in the bathtub scrubbing the walls, another one is scrubbing the toilet, another one is scrubbing the floor, and it's just a rotation every day, every hour. So by the time 4 or 5 o'clock comes, 6 o'clock comes, now it's time to go to school. But we've been up doing all that. And it's like, ugh. So we go to school, do whatever in school, come back home. First thing we do when we come home, go change our clothes, get downstairs, one get on the stairs, one get on the walls, one get the baseboards, and you're cleaning all day. And the scent is bleach, Tide, and ammonia. So we're doing that every single day, all day, right? And what we'll have for dinner is rice and beans every single day, right? And just that goes on for about 2-3 years, right? The last year I was there, I remember I was going through our little regular routine. Saturday morning, we're up, everybody's cleaning. She wakes everybody up. She'll have us, I forgot to throw this in there. She'll have us run the track. So there's a like track and field. We'll have to run that track and we'll be out there for hours, just going around the track. Rain, sleet, hail, slow. We're on that track, just going around it for hours. So the last year I was there, I remember us doing our regular routine, washing. It was a blizzard the day before, but we're washing and we're cleaning the house. So she opens up all the windows. She's opening up the back door, the front door, all the windows. And then she goes upstairs in a room. And as we're cleaning, she just yells, screams, top of her lungs, just going crazy. I'm like, okay, I'm a kid, right? So I'm still trying to process it. So we're in thermals and some shorts, wet. Somebody's on the floor scrubbing it with soft scrub and ammonia. Somebody's cleaning down the stairwell. Somebody's on the baseboards. And we're just in the position of just washing the walls and washing the floor in that position hours. Just, oh my God. Just doing the same thing over and over for years, for days, for hours. That's all that, right? And so she screams in her room. She come downstairs and she tells everybody to get in the car. So she had a Chevrolet Trailblazer, little 4-door SUV type. She tells everybody to go get in the car. Mind you, it's snowing. It's cold. We got on shorts, but we all go to the car. She shuts the door. She gets in the car, and I can see her battling something. I don't know what it was, but she's battling that thing. So she drives, we're going there. The car is quiet as a mouse. She got the windows down too. Just cold, bro. So we get to this park and we're sitting and we're facing a lake. And I can just see her. I'm not trying to look at her, so I'm just side-eyeing her, just trying to watch her like, what's going on? And at the time, I couldn't understand it. But a year ago, I replayed that I kept away for so long. I replay it, and then I'm going through the scenario, and I can see her dealing with what she's dealing with, and I can see her just going back and forth, just going through it. And from what I gathered was, she was going to drive us into that lake. She was going to put us into that lake because that's just what I seen, and that's what my heart of hearts knows. Right, just being in that situation. So she didn't do it. We go back home. She goes in her room, shuts her door. All the windows and doors are open, and she just stays in there, probably for like the rest of the night, whatever. So I leave there, end of the school year. We fly back to Vegas to be with our family for a little while for the summer, so she can get a little break. But I decided to stay. So I went from that extreme to the next. And I was in the house with my grandma. And my grandma, she was a prostitute. She was a hoarder.
and she was on crack cocaine, heavy. So I had to deal with that, just her days and days being up, and then her crashes, and just going through her little process. And it's just, that was, if I'm not mistaken, it was probably from like 12 to 16, 17, right? Just going through that, and it's just so tiring, so degrading. It got to the point where I was at, the water would get shut off, and we'll have to get 2 big old trash cans, walk them all the way up the street to the neighbor's house, fill that thing up with the water hose, fill that whole thing up, and then with water, and then drag the whole thing back to the house. And that's how we're washing dishes. That's how we're getting anything to drink. That's how we taking a shower. That's how we're flushing the toilet. That's how we're doing everything from this big black trash can, right? So that was that. Where am I going next? Moving forward from that, so far it was my mom, my aunt, and my grandma. So my great grandma, she died. So I can take that anybody can just leave at any moment, and that's something that I always held on to, and that's why before having a wife, right, it was on that go if you're gonna go. It was really no type of stay and fight. It was just go, right? So that was my great grandma. Then I had my mother dropping me off, those early memories, and later on down the line, she'll visit for a couple hours, and then she'll always say, "I'll be back." And I get into this thing every time. I want to say like the sky is like, I want to say it's like it has an orange hue to it. I can always just put that together with me sitting outside, looking outside the window, waiting on her to come back. That was great. So that's what came from with my mom. And then with my aunt is the family aspect of, okay, I had this tragedy. Now you're the one that was supposed to come and protect. Someone that was supposed to guide, and just someone who was just supposed to be there for you. So those are the things that I'm holding on to. So moving forward, from my grandma's house, I'm jumping from couch to couch, house to house, family to family, whatever. But I get to this point to where I graduate high school. I had got my welding certification and my CNA license, and I had got with my baby mama. Got with her, got a job. Job sent me out to Reno to do some construction out there, and I remember having another kid out there in Reno. So the job had put us in our own apartment, gave us a little car about this big. And just going there, just dealing with that. And I remember one time I'm outside working on the car, and I'm thinking like, okay, my daughters isn't going to have like grandpa and granddaughter day. So just that thought alone produced, where's my dad at, right? And as I start looking, I'm contacting family, I'm looking, I'm searching, and I'm trying to find it. And come to find out, from that day, he had died 2 years prior to that. So if I would have searched for him 2 years prior to that, I would have seen him, right? I would have, whatever. I would have did what I would have did. But so when I found out that he died, I was talking to myself, and it was I was faced with two decisions: either hold on to it or let it go, because I can't cuss at him, I can't hit him, I can't cry to him, I can't hold him. There's nothing I can do to change that situation at all. So what that had created in me is that let it go. And I held that moving forward with life to just let go, whatever it's going to be, just let it go. And that just moved forward. But being able to let that go, well, let's talk about what it created first, what it was first. So just that anger being built in, held up for so many years. You know, I got to gang banging, I got to selling drugs, got in my first couple raids. That's when the police stormed the drug house and I'm saying do what they do. I remember selling crack to my grandma, right? Selling it to my grandma, to my uncles. I'm saying people in the family, neighbors, and it's just going through that whole process. And that's just what that had created in me. So that anger and that frustration and that, what else? That separation of looking at family different, looking at who's supposed to protect you and just easy to let go, that all created some callous in the heart. So you'll say, and while I'm down there in Reno with my baby mama, with the house, and when I think of those thoughts, there was a situation that ended me and my baby mama. Was I'm working, doing construction. I come home one day, I sit on the edge of the bed, and I see her phone. Something in me just tell me, go through the phone. I picked it up, just going through it. I look on Snapchat, I see a woman name, but it's a man that she's talking to. So I'm like, I was tripping. You know what I mean? I was tripping. So I was tripping. I was tripping. So so after that night, punch a couple holes in the wall. I drop that and I leave. Come back the next day, walk in the house. You got air conditioners on the floor, the ones you stick out the window. That's on the floor. Kitchen is a mess. Living room's messed up. Bedroom is tossed, flipped upside down, dirty. And she gone. And she got the kids. So I'm like, what's going on? I'm coming in there and it's empty and dirty. So I know that she did her thing. And I know her mom was in there as well. Rightfully so. I was tripping. So when I got there, I came up with the conclusion that she was at the bus stop, at the bus station. So I go down to the bus station and I get on the bus that says going to Vegas, and she's sitting right there with both my kids. And I had a choice right there to either drag her off the bus or allow her to continue and allow me to continue and just see what life is like without that. And that's exactly what I did. And that right there started a whole another journey and took me to where I am today, right? Took me down these different avenues and different paths to get me here today, to have me a wife, to just do a whole 360 change. And just those emotions, they always mess with me. He'd be like, man, you acting just like just like it, you know what I'm saying? Just like, I do the 5, just like a broad, man, you know what I'm saying? Just really getting it, but it's the truth because of me getting down to that root and seeing what all of that is. You know what I'm saying? And I forgot what it was. It was Jay, Cavassier, Key. I forgot who else it was. We was over there at D House, and you was out there too. We was out there in the front yard, and it was something that Key did. I forgot. I can't remember what it was, but was that it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that was I took that serious, right? And it's just I would have threw down with Key right then and there. You know what I'm saying? He said something a little too crazy. We would have did what we had to do. hands, boy. But there was a little joking in what D had said during that process was, you remember what you said? It was something along the lines of, man, he's serious because he haven't had a fit.
Might need to hear it out there.
We overcame by the blood of the Holocaust and the word of our testimony.
All right.
Free somebody up. Free somebody up.
Right, come on, baby.
Free somebody up. Indeed.
Because you because he haven't had a family, and that was the truth. And it was another scenario where probably a couple of weeks ago, Remain Thorough, he got that workplace accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I had told him probably like a week or two ago, man, if anybody did something to you,
Let them know that you.
if anybody did something, finish the sentence for me, bro. God dang. Come on, man. like if anybody did something to you and I wasn't the first person you called, we was gonna have a problem. Because everything that I didn't have, that emotion that came behind that is that opposition today. From a lot of the people that I have went through all those things with were women. I mean, so that created a strong disposition, and me taking on those type of characteristics that I've seen continuously day in and day out. You know what I'm saying? So those type of emotions, those type of ideologies and characteristics and just thoughts is a complete opposition of this information here. So that's that fight. That's that fight. She know. She's seen it from the very beginning to where it is now, and that in between, and the trying and failing, and hate to say that she went through it, but she got through it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's that. That's all I got for you squares, man. That's it, bro. Come on.
I don't even think I'm gonna have to wait.
All right.
That's all y'all get.
We
Nah, you being scared right now. You can't do that. Nah, you gotta get up there.
we running like
Strong remnant white.
yeah.
Yes.
I know. So I think I got enough time to get it on.
To be continued.
That's what I'm thinking.
You got it.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Let me see.
that was beautiful. It's definitely been an experience to the point that even Cassie has felt the difference in this, because when me and Greatness was on the phone one time, maybe a couple weeks ago, we was going back and forth, and Cassie had exited out the room, and she's like, well, I just don't like when things get like this. And I told Cassie, man, hey, tell Cassie to come back, right? And I said, Cassie, this is what it looks like when there's love present, right? We can have a back and forth, we can have a disagreement, but the love prevails because it's genuine, it's genuinely unconditional love, right? And you just don't find that anywhere, right? Not like this. So we have other loved ones that want to come up and speak and share. You know, it's going to be continued next week. These are some powerful releases. And so make sure you tune in so we can pick up where we left off next Wednesday at 7:00 Pacific time. On YouTube, also at 7 p.m. on Mondays and Fridays. And Tuesdays, Tuesdays, Instagram, IG, 7 p.m. Pacific time. And Thursdays, OnlyFans, 7 p.m. Pacific time. Come get this love, right? Come get that reverence for the Most High in your life, that unconditional, right? Come get you. Come find yourself. Represent Remnant everywhere you go.